So 3, 2, 1. Probably worked. Okay.
I heard you that time, actually.
Oh, good.
When I clapped, I heard you, actually. I don't know why you don't hear mine. Like, I clap loud.
Do you have noise suppression off?
I don't know.
Probably why I can't hear it. Also, my mic's peaking. Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah, it says mine, actually. Like,
Okay.
every time you talk, it's in the red. Right?
Okay. I think I got it. Jesus
Okay.
Christ. Fucking OBS and its audio issues.
I know, right?
All right, but last time I messed up. I
You missed
usually
them.
count the episode number in our little intro here, and I didn't. We actually hit double digits last week.
We're getting there.
So
We're getting
this
there.
week we are at episode 11, and it's also our last episode ever, because if it's to be believed, the world ends tomorrow with the eclipse.
Man, I have lived through so many world-ending events. It's becoming a meme at this point.
So yeah, well, most of the ones you've lived through are ones I've lived through too.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, like, despite, like, we've got, like, what, a 9-year age difference?
Well, you
But
didn't get. Well, you did get Y2K, I guess. So you were born in
yeah,
what, 99?
yeah, so I was technically there for
Yeah.
Y2K. That would have been the first one, right? For you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Y2K was the big one.
and then what would we have after that? 2006? Uh,
Yeah.
2012 was the big one. And was there a 2021? I think there was a 2021 world-ending event, too, if I
Yeah.
remember. The only one
I
that had,
can't
like,
remember the quote.
even a little bit of credibility, like some sort of basis, was well, I guess Y2K, but I was thinking 2012 because, like, that was technically the end of the Mayan calendar, but they also disproved that, like, before it happened, because the Mayans didn't account for leap year. So there's something like
So there's more. Yeah.
yeah, so if we were going off of that, the world would have ended, like, in, like, July of 2011 or 2010 or some shit like that. But yeah, people are going fucking nuts over the eclipse. I
It's
have
just.
I so they're saying, like, stock up on gas, make sure your generators are working, like, all this shit. Like, dude, it's not uncommon.
It's an eclipse. We've had them before.
Yeah, and
I
they're
think the
like,
last one, I was in the Navy for the last one.
the last one was in 2017, I believe.
Yeah, I was actually, so I got out of the Navy September 1st, and the eclipse was on August 21st. It was 10 days before I got out of the Navy.
Oh, so you're still
Was the
on
last.
Virginia at that time?
Yeah, I was in Norfolk.
So you got part of it, right? Because wasn't the last one
Or
over
no,
Florida?
I was in Norfolk. I was in San Diego.
Oh,
Yeah, because I got out in San Diego, and then when I moved up here.
so the last eclipse I got, like, the butt end of. Uh, we only kind of saw it, but this one, where I live, I'm I should be right in the exact right spot to see the total eclipse. Depending on which eclipse map I look at, like, I'm, like, right on the border.
Hmm.
So I'll either see the total eclipse or be really close to seeing it, but I won't have the full 4 minutes of darkness. But the shit I am seeing is fucking nuts. Like people are acting like it's going to be an absolute blackout. Like the power grid's gonna go down and like it's just like the end.
It's the end.
It's
Yeah,
fucking nuts.
people believe anything, man.
So a big thing that people have been going on about is how it's going to affect animals because animals are going to think that it's nighttime. The
For
only
four
thing that
minutes.
I've yeah, the only thing that I've seen addressing that is somebody did say that there is a small chance that like raccoons and skunks might come out for a few minutes and then when they realize it's not nighttime just go back into hiding.
If they wake up at all, man, like they're napping, they're
Yeah.
snoozing.
Yeah, and
Like their biological clock is gonna go. Oh, after 4 hours, it's gonna go. Oh, it's been 8 hours. Like,
people are saying like, "Oh, if you have dogs or cats, like make sure you close your blinds because it might confuse them and make sure your dogs are chipped because they might try to run away when the eclipse happens."
I don't understand. I mean, I've slept through tornadoes. Like,
Also, the
I've
cat
had
thing
my
is
I've
like
had I've had a dog bark at a tornado before.
cat. The cat thing too is like cats sleep
Oh,
all
oh,
day. Goodness gracious, what the hell happened?
no! Somebody set off a smoke alarm, but then it
Uh,
went away right away.
oh God, it's the eclipse, Benny. It's already gotten you.
Yeah, right. What are we talking about? Like, I'm over here being skeptical, and like all this crazy stuff's happening.
Yeah, and like one of my favorite theories is it's gonna cause weeks of darkness. Um,
Weeks of darkness.
and here, like I'm like I said, I'm in the epicenter. My sister in law doesn't have work tomorrow. My niece uh doesn't have school tomorrow.
What?
Yeah,
They just close. I mean, did they do it so everybody could watch it, or like, 'cause I could see that.
they're. I think that's probably the reason. The official reason they said is it's because it's when the kids are going to be getting out of classes and stuff, and they don't want it to be dark during that time.
Uh, I can kind of see that actually.
But I think the real reason is just so it's like you can uh, stay home and watch.
Yeah.
But I'm all ready for it. I've got my eclipse glasses and everything. I love any astronomical event.
Oh, I know. I feel that.
And this one you can see. I think you can see Venus and Jupiter during the eclipse, and
Oh,
you
that's
can
true.
also see. There's I think the Devil's Comet is visible as well. So also all sorts of cool stuff. One thing that I didn't realize is somebody said that the horizon isn't going to be dark. Like it's still going to be even when it's completely eclipsed. The horizon is just going to be red. It's going to look like a sunset the entire time.
Yeah.
Like like somebody summoned the fucking Dragon Balls.
It's gonna look like Armageddon.
Yeah. So
So I'm looking at a map. I see Jupiter. I see the moon, Jupiter. You see Aldebaran, Regal, Betelgeuse, Capella, Sirius, and Perseon. You see a lot of stars. You see a huge amount of stars.
yeah. So the only eclipse skepticism I've heard so far that has any little bit of bearing is it said, do not drive at the time of the eclipse. Not because it's dark, because we've conquered driving in darkness. We have headlights, but because there's going to be so many fucking idiots just looking up at the sky and
Oh,
not
you know
paying
what? That's a
attention to the
really good
road.
point.
So
That's a really good point.
that is the only like good argument I've heard for why the eclipse is a potential bad thing is if you're on the road and people have their fucking heads out the windows staring up at the sky instead of paying attention to the road. And then there's like this whole weird thing with it's like people are saying that oh, what's that company that people are always shitting about on TikTok where they're like they're trying to open a portal to hell and they're gonna bring the Antichrist in during the eclipse and all that kind of shit.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but there's this company and like people are always going on about on TikTok, like all the conspiracy theory TikToks, and they're saying that
Are you talking about
they've been
CERN?
yes, CERN. They're
So
trying to
CERN
open a
is not a CERN is the Hadron Collider. Like what?
yeah, they're saying that CERN is gonna open the portal to hell and bring the Antichrist in during the eclipse.
I know people who work at CERN. Like, like that's not Jesus Christ.
So
CERN makes stuff for us. Like, I could see that though. I could see that though. There's speculation. I mean, if anything sounds like it's opening a portal to hell, it's a particle accelerator buried underground that's like miles long. Like
yeah.
that sounds like some doom stuff.
There's also something about like Red Holstein and like sacrificing them during the eclipse. I say to my brother, I'm like, we should just sell all of our Red Holstein right now. We could probably get way above market price for them if people
Dude,
are
you probably could.
sacrificing them for the eclipse.
Like I'm not gonna lie, like that's it's not the worst idea.
I, wa- I wonder how much we could get for our like turbo rare red, black, and white Holstein.
Oh, dude, somebody buy that sucker up quick.
But yeah, so the only like logical thing that I've heard is just don't drive because there's gonna be so many idiots just staring straight up at the sky. I don't know why it's this eclipse either. Like, why are people going batshit crazy over this one?
So what I think it
Like,
is there's more ways to put out information. There's more people talking about it, right? Just like the world is more connected than it ever has been, and these
yeah,
issues aren't
this
new.
the
It's just
same thing.
people have the opportunity to talk about it more.
The same thing
Like,
happened in 2017 though. Is my weird thing. I mean, we were just as connected basically back then as we are
I
now.
yeah, but people weren't turning to social media and turning to these other outlets to get as much of their information. COVID really changed a lot of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's and I think nowadays more and more people of more and more like older ages are using social media and other news outlets and the internet and mass communications. Like as time progresses, we'll see less and less of the old person reading a newspaper and the old person looking at TikTok and or seeing the news on whatever news site you want to insert here,
Also, I think
Like,
TikTok is also the epicenter of like a lot of these things because I see like
yeah.
a lot of old like Native American Cherokee tales and stuff like that. Like Wendigo and Skinwalkers and all that kind of stuff on TikTok, and then people in the comments like, "Oh, they're real. I've seen them."
That's what I would say. TikTok is a great and terrible thing.
It is. It is the best worst thing we've ever created.
Yes, yes. I agree 100%.
So yeah, I think probably I like I said everything I've seen about CERN is shit on TikTok. I don't even know what they actually fucking do because all I know about them is shit I see on TikTok.
They make elements. They use they accelerate they accelerate protons usually, but they do can do any
elements like
And
fire and brimstone.
yeah, well, so like CERN was responsible for making like all those like lawrencium, neptunium, all those like can be made at CERN.
So basically, just
Um,
synthetic elements.
yeah, and what they do is they accelerate a particle faster, 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 and they collide it with something else. And the force of that collision is something that nature can't create. So you create an unstable element by smashing two things together. Um,
They're gonna be the ones who fucking discover Gandanium alloy.
yeah, they there's a form of not to get into it, but there's a form of welding that uses explosions where they essentially put two pieces of metal together that can't be welded together and can't be joined through any other means, and they use an incredible amount of explosive force to essentially bond them together. It's how they make fuel cladding for nuclear reactors. It's
Is it the force that binds them together, or the heat?
yeah, the force.
Hmm.
It's the same way with the Hadron Collider, like the big collider. The CERN is it's the force, um, because they're not things that are supposed to be bonded together, but within a force you can create them. Like what do they make? Not zircaloy. They make fuel cladding for is it zircaloy that they use it? DuPont uses it for Deltaclad.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You can use it to create new things, right? And you know how we use them are up to your imagination.
Uh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
They actually make. I don't know if you know this. They actually have much smaller linear accelerators in hospitals and stuff, like in their basements. And they make things like there's an unstable element of iron that they make.
Oh, really?
And there's a couple other ones. I think
So the
iron 32.
hospitals are going to be the epicenter for all the portals that CERN is activating during the
Yeah,
eclipse.
yeah. See, that's what people don't realize.
See, the Joker was onto something when he was blowing up the hospital. He was trying to stop
I don't
CERN.
want to say it out loud, but
During the last eclipse, my brother and my dad watched it through fucking welding masks, which they say you're not supposed to do.
I don't. Yeah, some like they say that, but like that's exactly what welding masks protect against.
Well, so the way I understand it is the reason it's so dangerous to look specifically at an eclipse is because you're not only staring directly into the fucking sun, but the way it's saying about the way the moon covers over it creates something of like a lens. So it's like staring at the sun through a magnifying glass. And that's why it's so dangerous,
That kind
apparently.
of makes sense. Yeah.
But anyways, moving on because we got a lot of shit to cover here. Um, we can just touch on this one quick. I don't think we'll spend a lot of time on it. I just saw, like just an hour before we started,
Hmm.
Apple is actually now allowing game emulators on the App Store, which I never thought
Oh,
we'd see. So like I said, I just saw it, so I don't know too much about it.
I know they were getting
Um,
pressured into stuff like that.
so I think at least from what I'm seeing is as of Friday, They updated the App Store rules, which this says the App Store rules. I assume they mean the TOS. To allow emulators for retro games. Now
Hmm.
I know this is already a thing with Android. I'm a huge fan of emulators, but I've never actually downloaded one for my phone. Uh,
I,
but this
I
is
did a
something I
super.
never expected to see from Apple, at least.
They're getting pressured a lot to get out of their little universe and
Yeah.
join the rest of the world.
So you can probably speak to this better than I can. On an Android, so not that I would ever pirate anything ever ever. Um,
Of course, of course, of course.
on an Android emulator, you'd be able to download the emulator and then go to a site and download those ROMs. But with Apple, you won't be able to do that, right? Because you can't download things from other
Outside of the
sites. It
Apple
has
Store.
right. So would you
So
be able to
you
get
can.
those ROMs without
I don't know. I
jailbreaking?
don't know a lot about Apple products, but theoretically, you should be able to add them to your iPhone. Maybe not download them from a site on using Apple, but you should be able to add those files to your iPhone. I would think. Uh, because that's just
Through
basic
through
functionality of everything.
so through downloading them on your
Right. Like I imagine I'd
computer or
probably have
whatever.
to. Yeah, I imagine I'd probably have to download it or directly from the emulators. Because if Apple allows the emulator in their store, the emulator would then have a spot somewhere where you could download ROMs.
I mean,
I would think.
so hypothetically though, in that situation though, I mean, it doesn't even have to be downloading illegal ROMs. You could just rip shit right off your disk.
Hmm. Hmm.
So even that and
That would be the adding the
but
file to the phone.
yeah, and BIOS files too. So I guess it wouldn't even
Yeah.
have to be illegal technically. I guess I guess emulators and piracy just go hand in hand, like cheese and fine wine.
Only if you're Nintendo. Everyone else doesn't give a shit. But if you're Nintendo, boy, they gonna get you. They gonna get you. Like
You,
those guys, they got. You know what? They're not making good games, so they got nothing better to do than hunt down people who are emulating their stuff.
fucking break into your room in the middle of the night with a grappling
Yeah,
hook and
a bunch of Japanese commandos come in here. They got like the Nintendo logo on their vest and shit.
on their black vans,
Yeah,
their black Range Rovers they pull up in.
yeah, Jesus Christ.
I like to think that Nintendo security, like they all dress up like Mario and just break in and hit you over the head with a
It's
plumber's
me.
wrench and throw you into the back of their van.
They never get caught because it's like a plumber's van, so no one does anything.
Oh god. Yeah, that's so true. Nintendo just has nothing better to do. They're just they're
Right?
just re-releasing the Switch and calling it the Switch 2.
I know. How original.
They're not making any new games. So they're just spending all of their time beating up people who emulate their games. I was watching something the other day too that brought up a good point, and it's like 9 times out of 10, the piracy measures that you put into games more so just fuck over actual players than do anything to stop piracy.
Yeah,
It's like at this point, you might as well just let the pirates do it because they're going to anyways. They're gonna find a way. No
I don't
reason
know
to
if you
fuck over
remember.
normal players.
I don't know if you remember there for a while when games first started being able to communicate with the internet. Um, there used to be checks. Company Heroes was really bad about it, where it would check to see if you had the disc and it wouldn't let you play.
Rockstar
And
won't
then
let you play any of their games unless they verify it through Rockstar game launchers, which you need an internet connection for. And there's been
yeah,
a few times where my connection has just been really shitty. Like I've been connected, but it's just been really slow, and it can't verify it, so it won't let me play the games.
yeah, I just wish there was a better way to deal with it.
Just don't give a shit. People are gonna pirate it anyways.
Yeah, and
You
that's why
some
there's
games used
so many
to.
more people are gonna buy it though. Like that's the thing is like people are worried about piracy, but like so many people. I mean, these aren't DVDs, right? People are actually gonna buy these things.
Hmm.
Um, just my headset or my camera. Yeah, like people are actually gonna buy it. For every like one person who pirates, you probably got 10 people who buy the game, if not more.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Tens lowball in it. I
like,
remember some
because everybody
games.
like 90% of the people play on like Xbox aren't gonna pirate it. They're just gonna buy it. And it's what you do, right? In our society,
There
like most people on a
used
computer are gonna buy it on Steam when it's on sale or something, right? So like you're still gonna get revenue for it.
it used to be. I don't know how they did it, but I remember with some old games they could actually tell if you were playing on a hacked CD, and they would do things. I remember a big one was Spyro 3.
Yeah,
It always, I think it would always bring you back to like the first level, no matter what portal you went through, and each time you go through a portal, you'd lose gems and shit like that.
it would troll you. Yeah,
And I remember there was one game, I don't remember what it was. I think it was a fighting game, and it says something like it would let you play the game completely in its entirety, but when you finish the game, it would be like, "Thanks for playing all the way through. Next time you want to play one of our games, why don't you actually buy it?" So yeah, I've never emulated on my phone, so I can't speak much to it. But this is something I was very surprised to hear from Apple, and I think it's on the coattails of the whole that whole debacle they're going through with having to allow third parties to downloads and that whole thing that just went down with the Epic Game Store on Apple and people
yeah.
not being able to play Fortnite and all of that.
Well,
And
the
people
big
don't
problem with
like when you
Apple
take
does.
away their Fortnite.
Yeah, the big problem with Apple is Apple always like Google, all these companies take a cut, right? Apple's is like 30%, and like when you have a product that costs, Google doesn't take that. I can't remember how much Google takes. I think 15%. But like when you have yeah, 15% service fee. Um, when you have, but you can get around that by not using Google Play, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
that's their fee on the Play Store. Apple, you can't get around that. Like
It's
you can't download Epic and then go through Epic and then buy it through Epic, right? You have to buy it through Apple.
but
And
I think most people don't care about that either, though.
well, the problem is if you charge they charge $30. I don't know. So you charge X number of dollars a game, right? On Apple on like an Apple product, it's automatically 30% more expensive. You
Yeah,
pay a 30% tax for owning an Apple product. Like, how does that make you? How does it sound, right? Like just say it out loud. Like, you have to pay more because you own an Apple product. No, I mean, not only that, but your Apple product is also more expensive than an Android product already. So like you're already paying more,
And
and then you had to pay more because you can only buy it through the Apple Store.
there's been the whole thing with iMessage too, not being um, what's the word?
Uh,
Uh, Optimized isn't the right word, but like
they
to
they
be
they
able
use
to
a primitive
communicate.
form of encryption, like
Yeah,
specifically to Android. Like
I mean,
it's like
you have
they
an
never
Android,
updated it. Yeah,
so I mean, I'm sure you've gotten a video from an iPhone user before, and it just
and it's garbage. It's
fucking
hot garbage.
burns your eyeballs. So I know that
Yeah,
that's been a big thing, and that's what the government got on them about recently. In the UK, not the US government.
yeah, yeah. How can every other company in the world have this figured out? And Apple is like, right?
And people say that like, oh well, it's a security thing. Well, Apple is less secure because they're using they're using technology from like fucking 2008.
Yeah.
So like, I think really the only thing is like just some sort of incentive to get you to use an iPhone because you
The
can't.
incentive is is if you want to interface with an iPhone, you have to have an iPhone. That's what they're trying to
Yeah.
do, and that's not it's their prerogative, but it's not really right. It's supposed to going to fail in the long run because not everybody wants to use an iPhone.
And it's not like the technology isn't there to convert it either because, well, number one, obviously it is, but also Apple Music is readily available on Android devices.
Yeah,
So iMessage and
Apple
FaceTime
TV.
easily could be too. Apple TV, yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
I mean, it sucks
Yeah.
that I don't like the government being involved in anything really, but it's nice that there is something to put them in check.
I think I agree that the go. Well. This is one of those. It's like the government should not be involved in any of this stuff until you need a strong arm. And Apple's getting to the point where you almost like we got to be careful because we don't want them to have to do too much right. But like this is where you have Big Daddy put his foot down and be like, "All right, kids, yeah, y'all got to play nice now," kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's
Which
kind
I
of a
think,
gray area too with antitrust laws and all that because
yeah,
this like who in the 20s when they made all the antitrust laws would have foreseen something like this.
yeah, because it's a lot of I'm not gonna use the word shady. It's a lot of under the hood stuff that people don't really see. Like you kind of have to know, you kind of have to be in the know about how this stuff works to really understand, right? Like who's gonna compare prices on app stores and understand all that, right?
Yeah.
Not you have to kind of know a little bit about how that stuff works. And
hmm
that's what makes it difficult.
yeah, but hopefully it leads to something good.
I don't want Apple to go away, but I want Apple to be like get off their high horse a little bit. Like,
Yeah, bring them down to our level.
yeah.
We should put them in like a gladiatorial arena with Nintendo and just see who comes out.
Oh my god, dude. It'd be it'd be horrible. It'd be bloody. Who would win?
I think the Nintendo employees would probably take some mushrooms and grow like 3 sizes and
Yeah.
probably come out victorious. Then we'd have the Nintendo phone.
I mean that's true because think about Apple. Like they're all wearing their jeans and their old man shoes, and they all live in California, and they're like sipping on their coffees, and you got Nintendo over here who's they're Japanese, so they're industrious as fuck, and like there's no one to mess with.
Why can't
Like
why can't we just get Gaben in all of this? We just need to give every tech company just give it to Gabe Newell. He'll do us right.
Yeah.
Um. So speaking of tech news, did you hear about the big Twitch update? The update to their toss.
I didn't hear about that, but I saw a bunch of creators leaving.
I don't
So,
know if this is related, but Twitch recently made an update following a very notorious stream that you might have seen. The one where the girl was playing Valorant,
oh yeah, oh
and
yeah,
she had like a
yeah,
tiny little box with Valorant, and then just a huge fucking screen of just her fucking asshole.
yeah,
Like the tiniest piece of fabric in there.
yeah. We need to. Yeah, that was. I was on Twitch's side a little bit about that.
So,
Like,
following that and another one, uh, there was a streamer who I think she's been in Twitch jail a couple times before for getting a little rowdy, but she had an issue. I don't know if you call it issue, but she had a stream, and on stream she was wearing green shorts and just broadcasting Fortnite gameplay on her ass.
yeah, I've seen that. I've seen it on women doing it on their chest as well.
Yeah. So Twitch made a terms of service change regarding sexual content, and it says that you cannot focus on intimate body parts for an extended period of time. So that really changes the game a lot.
I think I'm mad that we had to make this. I'm mad this is a thing, right? Like, cool, you did that. Not cool. Like,
Well, I think it's an issue of people are always going to take the terms of service or rules, regulations of anything and push them as far as they can. They're always going to look for a loophole.
it, it's always something to set them apart. Is the thing. It's like, uh, it's hard to set itself apart, and this is one of the the more risque you get, the bigger you get. Like,
Right, yeah. Um I mean, well, what's one of the most popular uh mediums on Twitch? It's
mm,
the hot tub streams.
oh yeah, yeah.
And
Again,
bas-
Amaranth.
basically, if you have a body of water in your stream, you can consider a hot tub stream and get away with it. So I, like I said, I think it's a matter of people are just taking these and taking these rules and just pushing them as far as they can and just seeing what they can get away with. So I think Twitch just can't put their foot down because I mean they're I mean sometimes you go on Twitch and can't even tell the difference between Twitch and Chatterbait. So
Yeah, I there's a place for things like that, and it's not Twitch. Well, so it's you need to have mediums that are different, and I think that
Well, I
that
mean,
stuff overlapping into Twitch is not a good thing.
I'll go on Twitch right now, and I guarantee you, upon going there, on the homepage, I will see something.
Let's see this. Hmm.
Yep, right there. Recommended just chatting. Somebody's got some some pretty mean cleavage. Somebody's promoting their their Pornhub account.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all there. So yep, some more pretty mean cleavage. So it here's where the line needs to be drawn, in my opinion. If you want, is that fucking NASCAR?
Yeah, there's NASCAR. That was actually
Oh,
the
that's
first thing
fucking
that showed up
awesome.
for me. And I'm like, that's appropriate.
um, so here's where I think the line needs to be drawn. If you want to have your ass and titties out on Twitch, it's whatever. Twitch doesn't allow nudity. Fine. But if you want to do a little a little steamy stream, do you want to do it on Twitch? I think it could be allowed, but the issue is when you go on the homepage and it's right there. The stream specifically that we were referencing.
Hmm.
That was on the homepage of Twitch.
Yeah.
So there needs to be some sort of age gating. I it's no
Some sort of
secret that
barrier.
Twitch has a very young audience generally. Even remember Aiden Ross when he first got let on Kick and started fucking broadcasting porn, and then started asking people their ages, and there was like 11 and 13-year-olds
Yeah,
in
yeah,
there. So there needs to be some sort of age gating if you want to, have your fucking butthole on display with a little bit of Valorant gameplay. And just going right on and seeing that on the home screen, like there needs to be some sort of management for it. I'm just with the way Twitch is going now, and with this change of not allowing extended footage or whatever of
yeah. Hmm.
intimate body parts as it's stated in the change. I I just kind of wonder where it goes from here. But if it keeps going on the same way it is, that it's going to start hitting news outlets, and they're going to have shit that comes up like they do with TikTok already, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna get into even bigger problems.
Right. When they start reporting, oh, this is what your kids see when they go on Twitch, and then they've got fucking Fortnite being broadcast on somebody's butthole. Like,
Yeah. Can you
so,
imagine? And here, Congressman, we have like, can you imagine being the guy who has to say that?
I could just imagine like someone like fucking Tucker Carlson picking up that story.
Oh my
So
god.
I was gooning on the internet the other night, and to my surprise, I went on twitch.tv, and right there, I saw Fortnite gameplay being broadcast on somebody's anus.
He would use the word anus. You are correct. God, Tucker Carlson, I hate you.
So, that's where I see things going next if this doesn't have a significant change on the way the platform goes. because they villainized TikTok already. So naturally, the
Yeah.
next step is going to be Twitch. I think, at least in my opinion, I think that's probably where it's going to go.
Okay, so no. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me counter that argument. TikTok is targeted because TikTok is a non-biased media outlet.
And it's Chinese.
100%.
Don't forget that part.
Yeah,
that's
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 an
a
excuse.
very
That's
big
that's an
reason
excuse though,
on
right? Like
why.
like no, that's an excuse. That's like saying we're gonna take your land. Why? Oh, eminent domain. Done. Right? Like they didn't have to give a reason. Like the only reason they give it a Chinese, the only reason they're talking about China being Chinese is like because they have to give a reason. They can't just declare it freaking under the Patriot Act, right?
Okay,
So
yeah, that is fair because we did talk about
they,
the fact that they don't give a shit about Timu or
yeah,
Alibaba.
Team Alibaba, right? So TikTok is the only outlet. Like, well, look at where we saw these stories first, right? The explosion in Beirut, invasion of Ukraine, uh, like any think of any major event that's happened. The most details you've gotten immediately have always been on TikTok, and they have always been unfiltered and always been from anyone's point of view, right? Because you read a story on CNN. CNN is my favorite. Not exactly in that way, but like you read an article on CNN, you read an article on Fox, you read an article on ABC News. It's filtered through their how they want to how they want to put the news out, right? TikTok is like there's no it's just there. It's like during COVID, the only reason we knew that they had COVID problems in prison was because the prisoners were making TikTok videos about it.
Okay,
Like that's
but allow
it's the
me to
best.
retort here.
Oh, okay.
They're not. Yes, they are against TikTok because TikTok is a threat to their agenda, let's say. But the uh, the the bachelor's degree in journalism and communications and online media tells me that you are constantly just looking for a story that gets clicks and that your audience will engage with. They all they always save face, every media company, by having, they say they follow the uh, SPJ, or it's SPJ, Society of Professional Journalists, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Crap, I can't remember. God, my professor would hit me over the head with a bat right now, but
There's the difference. I'm a welder by trade. You are not,
I
so
think
you
it's
have to remember this stuff.
I think it's the SPJ, Society of Professional Journalists, I think, if I remember correctly. Jeez, I can't believe I can't remember this. I just wrote a whole fucking article about a year ago. But anyways, the SPG lays out their terms of ethics, and that's what every journalist follows, and every media company touts that they're following it to save face.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say clickbait, for example. Every single media outlet will tell you not to use clickbait. But they don't really care. They care that people actually click on it. But they've got to say
Mm-hmm.
that to save face. So the reason that I think that Twitch will will eventually reach this point is because it's something that they can get people angry about. Because you show, all the fucking furries and VTubers on Twitch, and that's something that will get an audience of, more traditional people, I guess you could say, pretty angry. And then you can take that and use the sexual content as a way to villainize it and push that message even further.
And you make a good point about that too, because you mentioned those two groups specifically. They're very polarizing. Either you like VTubers or you don't. Either you like and or tolerate furries or you don't. And they also represent young people more than older people, and older people are the ones
Mm-hmm.
who make these rules, right? So
Right.
like that's very big. You don't have a lot of resistance to that. So you have a lot of resistance to that, but you don't have a lot of resistance to that in the government.
I don't think it's going to be a government issue though. I'm just talking specifically from the standpoint of the media.
Oh yeah,
That we're going to see it
they're gonna
on,
villainize it.
yeah, you're going to see it on, Laura Ingraham or Sean Hannity or something like that. One night they're just going to go on a fucking rampage about Twitch and, you know, cherry pick the content from Twitch that they want to put on there and be like, "Hey, look at this."
Is this what we want our children to see? This
Right.
is the kind of values that we want instilled in our children.
Right.
Yada yada yada.
Yeah, so that's where I think Twitch,
I can
if
see that.
this if this doesn't uh end up having a huge change on the platform in general, that's the direction that I think Twitch is going to go. And for Twitch, that is going to be a fucking PR nightmare. And then
Yeah, because
then
Twitch has other issues too.
mhm. And then that goes into an even bigger issue. Who owns Twitch? Amazon. Who owns Amazon? Jeffrey Bezos.
Jeffrey
Jeff
Bezos.
Jeffrey Bezos is using Twitch to turn your children into furries.
Oh my god, when you say it out loud, like, that's insane.
See, like, I, I, I spent 5 years of my life in college for this shit. I know how
Oh
this
my
works.
god.
I've I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two.
Yeah, you're right. Jeffrey Bezos using Twitch to turn our kids into furries. Never thought it'd be true, but it is.
See, so it's
That's
just,
insane. Like what I don't get is like how insane you gotta be to believe this is happening. Like
but it's the same.
Disney did it for decades and no one batted an eye,
It's the
right?
same thing with any conspiracy theory, though. You can have your, your board up with all the red strings attached, and yeah, the connections are there, but it doesn't mean they mean anything. Because you know, because I choose to go on Twitch and put on my fursuit and wiggle my butthole around and broadcast Fortnite gameplay on my ass. That means that Jeffrey Bezos must be indoctrinating our children into furry culture.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
But I mean, the connection is there. Doesn't mean that connection means anything, but you can draw that line. So that's personally where I see Twitch going. Or where I see the narrative for Twitch ending up. If it gets
Yeah,
to that point. Who knows? They might go after something different next. Um Alright, if you know more about this, I'm gonna let you speak on it. Because I haven't been following it that closely, but we got a little issue with Mr. Combs here. More like Mr. Coombs. Hearing about it. Got some shit going on with
oh,
Diddy.
Diddy.
Yeah,
So Diddy.
Diddy, a popular popular subject on our podcast because we spent 2 episodes talking about Tupac.
Diddy, oh Diddy. So here's the thing, and I'm gonna be. I this doesn't change. Okay, I still kind of like Diddy because of who he was and what he did in the industry and stuff. Right? Like he did, but like he probably did it. Like I'm just gonna be real. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, here's the thing. Here's to kind of pull back the curtain and put on our personal hat a little bit. Things like this happen all the time. So like,
So what? Well, okay. But before we get too deep into the weeds, what is the charge exactly? Because they said sex trafficking, but sex trafficking can mean a lot. It doesn't necessarily
so
mean that you have like a freaking uh, semi full of little children.
my understanding of what happened was he. So some of these people go to these other countries, right? They recruit young girls that not like young girls, but like 18 up girls, right? I mean like youngs in 18 to 25, right? I'm an old man. I'm 34. I'm sorry, but like, um, and they party with them essentially, right? They use them as like pleasure girls and stuff. And it's not a trafficking of minors. It's just a human trafficking. It's not like people in shipping containers. It's taking people from where they're from to do, because I mean you can it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, American or African or Spanish, whatever, right? You can be beautiful anywhere, and if you're in an environment where you're poor, it's and someone's offering money to do something, right? Like
Kind of like
if
how
you're
a
if you're a
lot
poor if
of
you're a poor like a poor Indian family, right? India is a good example because India has its issues, but like if you're a father with you know 8 kids maybe, and somebody offers to buy one, and
God, when you say it out
they
loud, holy shit.
well here's the deal, right? So they're gonna live a better life. They're gonna have to do stuff, but they're gonna not be able to go hungry. They're gonna have at least basic amenities in life, right? And you're going to get something out of it. It's not. You think about it. Sometimes there are these people their backs against the wall. They have nothing else. It's it's not in no way a good situation, but
It's kind of how a lot of
it's
nail salons run by like you know um, Thai families and things like
yeah,
that are a lot of times fronts for prostitution.
yeah, and it's not necessarily out of extreme human. It's not necessarily out of extreme malice on their end, right? Diddy and people like him now they do it because they can get away with it, but like for some of these families that it
Well,
may
it's
be the
all
only way.
the same shit that we saw with Jeffrey Epstein. It's just all the same
Yeah,
kind of stuff all over again.
yeah. Um, but that's why a lot of people have to get the conception out that it's not little girls in shipping containers. It's workers. It's employees. It's people for other things. Um,
Still horrid.
it's so horrid. Yeah, yeah. But the image is different. There's multiple facets to like this image of human trafficking.
Well, it's kind of like the same thing where, you know, uh, with sexual assault, it's often seen as being a thing, you're getting, kidnapped by some sketchy guy in a dark alleyway, but 9 times out of 10, it's somebody you know.
Yep. Somebody at a party, somebody at anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. But
So,
no, I think it. I mean, it happens, and it's
so you think
tough
he's
break,
probably, you
tough
think he's
break,
probably
Diddy.
guilty?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Think he
I'm
and
not gonna say.
think he
Yeah,
and like
it's
R. Kelly
sorry.
are gonna share a cell and like cuddle up at night and keep each other warm.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, R. Kelly's gonna pee on him to keep him warm. um, yeah, I mean, because I've read the story, right? I've read about what happened. People like there's transcripts of the events that happened, and the events that happened could have happened with somebody local, right? The sexual assault is not directly tied to human trafficking. Like those are those both happen, but like this could have happened at some club down here in LA, right? Like
Hmm.
it's sexual assault, and then the human trafficking stuff on top of it. Um,
They're they're inter
I don't.
like they're
Not,
intertwined but
not,
not directly connected.
yeah.
That kind
Now
of thing.
here's
Like,
the problem. Here's the problem with sexual assault too. Is it's I was on okay. So a little story. I went to what do they call it? I went to court martial because the guy in my division sexually assaulted someone, and there was no real proof. Like the only proof was he said she said, and like his story was better than her story, right? And there were so many like when it came down to the wire, nothing could be proven really. So no one really got punished for it. We learned later that actually did happen. And some of these stories, some of these
that
cases
actually.
are
Well, wait, that actually did or didn't?
no, he actually did do it,
Oh,
but
oh.
like there was no. I don't know. It's like did OJ do it? Yeah, he did, but was he proven innocent? Yes, he was also,
It's
right? Like
it's like they say the burden of proof.
right now, um, yeah, we only learned that he did it because he did it to another girl. Um,
Ooh.
it was bad. It was not good. But like I wonder too if part of this was did Diddy act aggressively towards this woman sexually? Probably, but like how much of this is because he's Diddy, and how much of it because it actually happened? That's a question you can raise too.
Oh,
Like, did it happen? Probably, absolutely. But
probably.
like, is it as heinous as it sounds?
Probably.
Maybe. Right, but that doesn't take away from the problem, right? Right, like it did happen,
Yeah.
but there's also a lot of it sounds different from whose point of view, kind of thing. I mean, sorry, that's just a kind of personal ramble I got on, but like you gotta look at it from every angle. Do I think he did it? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's an old, and it's what you see is like Diddy's not a young guy anymore. He's not Diddy in his prime. He's he's coming down a little bit. He's got a not everybody's looking to get with him, right? Like it's in the '90s, right? Like '80s and '90s. So he was probably like that's probably why it was also a little worse because it's like people don't want to. I don't know. People don't want to party with him. People don't want to get with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been following it too closely, but from what I've seen and heard, it's not looking good.
Oh yeah, no, he's screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, or you know what? This is gonna get settled. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
that's a
probably gonna get
very
settled.
strong possibility. But I mean, look at how some of these recent ones have played out. I mean, justice is being served with some of these.
Yeah.
Like I said, R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein. Like, we are actually at a place where some of these are working out more in a way that they should. Bill Cosby was another one. So,
Oh, Bill Cosby. Cool.
what a flipping out of pudding. So yeah, I think remains to be seen, I guess. But I think we do live in an era where it's more likely than ever that something probably will happen to him.
That's true.
Now, will he get what he deserves?
Oh no,
Not
of course
sure we
not.
live in that era, but we do
He's too
live in a
rich for
time
that.
where it is more likely that something might happen to him, hopefully. Let's just hope his prison guards don't fall asleep while the cameras aren't working.
I can't even. Yeah, yeah, that's a whole other thing.
All right, what else? One thing I want to cover, because you do have some insight on this. Uh, a little old now, but since between now and when we did our last episode, had a little bit of a problem in Baltimore. Had a
Oh,
had a little oopsie and the Lego set fell over.
oh, oopsie later step over. That's a big oopsie. So I
Come on,
actually looked into
Benny,
that. I
endow
looked into
us with
that a
your Navy
lot.
knowledge.
I looked into that a lot. So here's so this is a classic. Okay, this is cut and dry. Like this could be a video in Navy engineering school, right? So the bridge or the bridge, the ship. Uh, okay, how do I say? Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll set the stage for our Japanese viewers, because
throughout. Uh,
we do have some Japanese viewers apparently, according to our analytics.
oh yeah.
Um, so big vessel Taiwanese. Am I right about that?
Uh,
Hit a bridge in Baltimore and the whole thing fell over. A big
so
bridge. The who is it named after again?
Francis Scott Key,
Yes, the man who wrote the national anthem. Wait, yeah.
is an MV Dolly. It was Singaporean flagged,
Oh, yes, you're
but
right.
it was
Singapore.
owned by Maersk. But it was Singaporean flagged.
Okay.
Um,
So somebody didn't like the Star Spangled Banner, and they took it out on the bridge apparently.
so anytime, so there are several places in the world where you do very precise transits. Um, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel is one. This bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, is one. There's a bridge on the James River when you go to load ordnance that all naval vessels go through. Um, there's several places, right? And one thing I can't speak to civilian ships. So civilian ships have some of the same regulations and requirements that the Navy does, but not all. When the Navy transits through things like this, we rate for maximum reliability. That means you turn on all the engines, you turn on all the generators, you man up all your auxiliary steering, propulsion, like you man up everything that could go wrong. So you have redundant systems. Several civilian ships have these systems, but they're not as robust and they're not as common. Um, what happened with the MV Dolly was they lost main propulsion going under this bridge, which is still a crazy coincidence, right? But they had no way to have backup propulsion, so they drifted into one of the supports. And obviously, the ship, I think it's 100,000 tons loaded down. Yeah, 116,000 tons dead weight. Um, just took it out because you can't stop 100,000 tons.
And steering wasn't an option.
Yeah,
So
it's
so
because
so
they're drive by wire. So the new ships are drive by wire. Navy ships are drive by wire to a point, and then they have hydraulic systems. Right. That's why I said you man up all your auxiliary systems. A ship like the MV Dolly would be drive by wire from the bridge and from the engineering control room, and they would probably have a hydraulic steering system, but it wouldn't be manned up 24/7 because that's not what they do. They're not like they don't expect things to go down. They don't do that. They don't rig for maximum reliability like we do, right? We do it because we're designed to get shot at, right? Like missiles blow stuff up. It doesn't happen in civilian vessels like this. So they probably lost their engines, and that means they lost their drive by wire, and they had no way to steer. They had no propulsion. They had nothing. They drifted right into that sucker.
yeah, and the video was crazy. Like when I first saw the video, I thought it was in fast forward. Like
No, it was immediate.
that thing went down in a fucking second.
Yeah,
You
it
would have thought it
dropped
would have been
right in the ocean.
slow, but that thing dropped all at once.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. Um, but yeah, that's. I mean, it's realistically what happened. It's hard to say. Now I don't know. Now we can get into like, oh, maybe their systems weren't. Maybe they had maintenance that needed to be done. Right? Maybe something was broken. But from what actually happened, it's the worst of coincidences that could go wrong, and it's really
It
not
always is.
any one person's fault. Like this is why I so I said this should be a Navy engineering training video. This is why you rig for maximum reliability, and you
So
man up these stations, and you have this stuff. Because if we, I mean, say we lost drive by wire on our boat on our destroyer, aft steering has big hydraulic pumps that they can still turn the rudders with, and they would just you know or
so
anchor drops.
so the big issue, basically, what it comes down to is the ship lost power.
Yeah,
How
they
did they say
uh
how exactly that happened?
I haven't I haven't looked into that as much. Um, I don't know if they released that many details on it. They said they suffered a complete blackout, and then they did have a backup generator that could provide electrical power, but not main propulsion. Um,
Kind of
because
kind of
they
weird.
issued so they said they lost power at 124. They sent a mayday 3 minutes later, and then they hit the bridge a minute later. These events happen so fast. Like it sounded
Yeah,
like
I think there's
3 or 4 minutes. It's a second, it's an instant when you're on the ship and you're doing this stuff.
I could be wrong, but I think I actually saw a video of like the second the ship actually lost power too.
Yeah, and it just goes
So
dark. Yeah. Now the reason why, because I know the investigation is still ongoing. That's why I don't know. Because here's the deal that kind of hinders the investigation is it was flagged as Singaporean, so Singapore will do their investigation,
mhm.
and then we will do something, and then the international I can't remember what they're called. There's an international agency that covers all this stuff too. Um, they'll do an investigation. But the big question is why they lose power, right? If they
Right.
have more than one engine, they have more. Well, they have generators, so they use generators to turn. Uh, they have engines, they have generators, and they have different forms of propulsion for each one. So, why do they lose power? Like what you know? So propulsion, single shaft, fixed pitch. Yeah. So this ship's power is tied up to a big diesel engine. Single shaft. So they had one propeller. So their engine went out. Their big diesel engine went out. When I say big diesel engine, I mean like the size of a building. But so something happened with that, and and probably because of that, they lost electrical power because they also have like these thrusters that they use. They move it like 2 knots, and they use them to maneuver and moor up to the pier.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you lose electrical power, you lose your thrusters.
Hmm.
The main engine, 9 cylinder.
So why?
Yeah.
I guess the thing that kind of gets me about it is you'd have to think there'd be some sort of failsafe for all this.
Well, it says electricity generated by two 5,000 and two 6,000 horsepower auxiliary. So the problem is if you lose main propulsion on a boat like this, you don't. It's not. There's only one shaft. There's only one engine. Like you're done. Like if something happens to your main engine, you are done.
Hmm.
Uh, it says it has a single bow thruster, which won't do anything. Um, but if you lost electricity, you also lost your bow thruster. Uh, that's why you see a lot of things like that have a lot of redundancy. You know, every Navy ship out there has two screws instead of frigate, but a frigate has one screw, has two engines. So if one of the engines breaks, you have another engine to gear up to it. These civilian vessels, they don't really need this big redundancy because if you have, I mean, if this
So,
happened out in the middle of the ocean, they just send a repair boat out. It just chill there for a while,
but
and they send a
when
repair
you're
boat out, and
doing
nothing would
this,
happen.
when you're doing this though, when you're putting all of these checks in place though, don't you have to assume that's going to happen at the worst time, like it did with this?
I I would say I would say the question is, will this happen and is it an acceptable risk? That's what goes through their heads.
So,
Because theoretically, my thought is this happened at a like this is a major coincidence, right? But like if this happened any further out, they drop anchor. If this happened any further out, they you try to use your bow thruster to get away from it or go in the right place.
so
The fact that it happened minutes before they got to the bridge was the crazy insane part.
well, as a question too is why didn't they just drop anchor?
It,
And
I
my
mean it'll
under
drag
yeah,
for a
that
little
was
bit.
my understanding that they did drop anchor. It just dragged.
Yeah, it's not it's a muddy bottom there in the bay and stuff. It's it
So,
doesn't catch immediately. I mean, when you have a bottom like what would be in a bay or something like that, it'd have to drag and pitch up like catch up a bunch of dirt and mud, and then it probably wouldn't even catch it, just bury and drag. So
hmm,
it'd slow you down, but it
uh,
wouldn't.
so another story that is
Yeah, sorry, I could talk about boats all day.
somewhat related. We got a little problem with Boeing.
Ah, Boeing.
So,
We got a problem with Boeing's repairs they made. We actually went over
oh,
this at
oh, oh,
work.
we have a problem with Boeing's repairs. That's the issue here with Boeing.
No, we actually went over this at work. So Boeing, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, you got me.
So let me make sure. Let me get my numbers right.
The
So there's a door. There's a door plug that's installed in the 737s,
mhm.
right in the back aft. Uh, the problem wasn't the building of the 737. The problem was when these door plugs are installed, they're not installed properly, and they're not installed. They're not like inspected. They're not. It's just like,
They
oh hey,
use
go
Dawn.
go go pop the door off, bolt this door in, call it bolt this plug in, call it a day.
Yeah, they forgot the
So
bolts. Use
yeah,
fucking
which is
Dawn dish soap as
insane. Like,
lubricant. And then,
well, okay, so you do use this show. That's. I'll get him on that one. Technically, you should use silicones, but it all works.
well,
But
well,
the whole bolts thing like they're not inspected. There's no requirement for them. It's just you put the thing in place and you call it a day.
well, I think the real problem we have here is the the good old John Burnett uh, wasn't able to give his testimony because he unfortunately took his own life.
Yeah, yeah. That was
He drove into a parking lot and shot himself in the parking lot in his vehicle.
yeah. I don't.
What? Like, why?
I so
Why does this keep happening? Like, we have had so many of these cases where we have had these deaths that are attributed to suicide, or people are like shot in public places in the back of the head and shit like this. Like, how does
I
this keep
don't.
happening?
Yeah. No, no. You gotta be stupid to think that this was a suicide. Yeah, I there's some shit.
And everybody, like his family, his friends, everyone has said, yeah, there's no way he would have killed himself. That this was all Boeing. And he, this is like, from what I've seen, he's actually like a pretty, like, wholesome guy. Like, he literally just saw a problem and wanted it fixed to keep people safe.
Yeah.
But it was going to cost Boeing money, so. And something from some of the research I've done into this is Boeing is basically trying to save from what's Boeing's perspective drops in the bucket, right?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt Boeing. Like it makes him look really good to fix this problem too. Like
Right. So there's this they're saving a minuscule amount of money by bypassing all of these safety regulations using fucking scrap metal on their planes and shit like that. And then something happens inevitably because obviously, and then they have to pay all these millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits. Like,
yeah,
that's the worst part of it for me is it's like they bypassed these safety regulations to save money, and then they have to, then something happens, people die, and then they have to pay all this money in these settlement cases. So it's like these people just died for nothing. It's like, no, I don't want Boeing to have the money, but at the same time, it's like they bypassed all of this shit to save money, and they didn't even do that. They ended up paying
Right.
out more in these settlements, and people lost their lives because of it.
Right. I guess the question is like now you're looking at the question of why they do it, right? Like do they do it to save money or do they do it to save face? Right? Do
Say,
they ignore the problem because then they would have to admit there's a problem? And if you
yeah,
remember,
but it's a problem that they've caused because
yeah,
of,
but if you remember, that's part of the problem. The premise of Chernobyl uh, was that the Russian government didn't want to admit they were willing to fix the problem. They didn't want to admit publicly they had a problem.
yeah, but this was a problem directly caused from Boeing. I don't think they're saving face at all. I
Yeah, but I'm
think
talking maybe like before the first incident happened. Like they were like, "Well,
I
it's not going to be a problem."
I think they knew all along.
Hmm.
I I I I think it's been a problem the whole time. I don't think that. I think it's always been profit for Boeing.
I see.
Um, I, like I said, I think it's because it's a problem that they specifically caused. Like it's their own negligence that caused this. Like I think these problems were foreseeable. I think it was more just a thing that they were hoping they wouldn't happen, and they did. As opposed to a problem surfaced and they just didn't want the public to know about it. Because I mean, when a plane goes down, not even goes down, anything happens on a plane, like the freaking door blowing off. I mean, people are gonna know about it, especially today, where everyone's got a cell phone in their pocket. They can pull it off and start recording what's going on.
Hmm. You know what? You know what I've noticed though, like, and I've noticed this looking at kind of the history of some of these aircraft. Planes used to crash all the time. Like, I don't know if you know that.
Wait, what was that?
Planes used to crash all the time.
You're saying they do
Like,
crash all the time?
they used to. They used to.
Oh,
The Douglas DC-3 was a plane. Do you know? Do you hear about the DC-3? It's it was made from. It was reduced from 36 to 40 to 42. It had 4,000 crashes. Like, if that happened today, can you imagine? Like, it'd be a witch hunt, right? But like back,
plane
back in the early parts of the century, it happened.
plane crashes are such a weird beast too, because statistically speaking, plane travel is essentially the safest way to travel nowadays.
Hmm. Now it is.
But more people die in car crashes and all of that. But there's also a difference where if you're involved in a plane crash, like it's at the point that something goes wrong, right? So statistically, driving somewhere as opposed to flying somewhere, you're much more likely to get in a crash. But the point that something goes wrong, your chances of surviving an automobile accident are way higher than a plane.
Yeah, I'm looking at that statistic I looked up on a DC-3. The survival rate is 19%.
That is actually surprisingly high.
So so they had 3964 whole loss accidents, a total of 15,138 fatalities. So 19%. It's not counting for the 19% that lived.
Well,
So
there is a point in that though that Boeing established itself as being a very reliable aircraft company.
yeah,
So that's why Boeing is where they are today, because they didn't have, you know, all of these accidents. I mean, there were accidents. Like I think it was in the '80s. There was a case where the whole freaking roof of a Boeing just ripped off when they were in the air,
yeah,
and I think that they were, if I remember correctly, I think they were at just low enough altitude that people weren't just straight up sucked out, and they were able to land and all that. But generally, Boeing has been kind of at the top of their game when it comes to engineering. So that's how they got to where they are today. But at a point, they started um, paying more attention to profits as opposed to the quality of their aircrafts like they had before.
yeah.
And that's where we are now. But the big thing, I mean, no one would be talking about this, honestly, if it weren't for the death of John Burnett here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. It would be just another safety issue, right? Like, oh, they got to fix their stuff. Oh, it's a big scandal. And then all of a sudden the whistleblower mysteriously dies, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, wait a minute now, because there's another story. So I work in the nuclear industry. There was a lady named Karen Silkwood who died in much the same way. She apparently drove her Honda Civic off a bridge, driving to a disposition with the documents showing there was an issue at a plutonium production plant. Like, you can't get any more like movie than this. Like, it's straight out of a movie. Um, so this is the first time it's happened. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, he shot himself in his truck in the parking lot of the hotel. Like, why? Like, it was like, if we were to play into the idea that he did do this to himself, that was a self-inflicted wound, why would he go
Mm-hmm.
out to his truck in the parking lot of a hotel and do it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree.
Like days before he was supposed to give his testimony. So that's where the story really lies, I think, is in his death. Not so much the aircraft itself and Boeing as a company, but the fact that it appears that Boeing essentially put a hit out on this guy.
Yeah, yeah. It leads to all kinds of questions.
I mean, it's not the first time this happened either, but
Yeah.
anyways, you got anything, Benny? Are you done blue balling me about AI? Do you have anything for me, or are we putting this off until
AI is
next
gonna
week
take over the
again?
world. Every time you talk about AI, it's like it changes. The biggest thing with AI that I can see is the creativity, right? Because I actually have a subscription to ChatGPT. I can have ChatGPT write me a book, and it'll be stellar. Or well, it might be stellar, but it'll be readable, right? It'll be interesting and readable. I can be like, write me a book about blah, and it'll take off. And a lot of people, in my opinion, the real thing we have to look at with AI is AI art is a thing. It's never gonna go away. Uh, AI grading, AI writing, AI all this stuff, right? Is is it's gonna be here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing we can do about it. And I think those are the biggest things. It changes how we learn. It changes how we view things. It changes, like you hear all these stories about kids saying, "Oh, AI wrote my paper for me," and that's a big deal. Like, or artists online. Now I can, if I don't want to, excuse me, I don't mind paying for someone to write or to do art for me. But like, if I just want something rigged up in like 5 minutes, I can go on
Yeah,
ChatGPT and be like, "Hey, generate an image of this," and I can
yeah, that's the
take that
big
and I
thing.
can go play Shadowrun or go play D&D with my character, right? Like,
Yeah, that's the big thing too. Is it's instant
yeah, and
as
even with
opposed to
stories,
having
it's
to
instant.
wait for your commissioned artist to take 2 or 3 weeks to do it. You have it
Yeah,
in 2 or 3 minutes,
yeah,
not
and
even
it's
sometimes. I
I don't.
remember I used to enjoy playing AI Dungeon, but it's like
Oh
now
yeah,
I just can't play it anymore because it used to be so fun to just see the dumb shit that AI would come up with. But now it's gotten to the point where it's like too good and it's like trying to get me to go on an actual story.
yeah.
Like I play AI Dungeon now and it's like wants me to go on like some sort of actual medieval quest. Meanwhile, you know, 2 years ago I used to play AI Dungeon and I killed King Hulk Hogan with the Royal Master 3000 because
Yes.
Hulkamania was running wild on the kingdom. But
Oh
now
yeah.
but now I can't
Oh,
do
that's much man.
any of that.
Yeah,
So
and I fall in this trap. Like I don't like. I'm the kind of person who can be content with an AI generated image or an AI generated write up on something, right? Like it's starting to get to part of the issue is a lot of people how they live their lives. We're all rush, 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 instant satisfaction, right? Like it's like you said, waiting on someone to commission your art. It's really cool to have someone draw something for you, but like, eh, what ifs? I can get it done now, right?
right.
Um, I do think there's an issue with the way it's used in school because I have seen I have seen the difference in generation. So when I was in high school, my senior English, I wrote every report in cursive, and I'm not saying that that's the suffering we need to inflict on young people today, but there are things that like I learned and did and had to manually do that people don't do today, and I think we lose a little bit. Like, I'm not going to say people today are any less intelligent, but
So, but do you think it's
um,
a point where we need to stop AI from being used, or do we need to adjust how the school system works to incorporate it?
oh, I mean, even more broad than AI, we need to adjust how the school system just is. I think I think that is a base issue and AI is just a compounding factor to it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think
I
it's
mean,
AI's
I've
fault, but I think AI is a in terms of dealing with schooling like that, AI is not a good thing.
I've done that whole song and dance. You know, I've graded papers and read people's articles and all that. But it's like AI just evolves so quickly. I never had an issue with it because it's how fastly it's come about. I mean, this is only in the
Yeah,
past like year or so. I've had problems with plagiarism. I've had problems with you know, people making shit up. I've had everything under the sun, but something I never had to deal with when editing people's articles or grading or anything was AI, because if someone used AI, it was extremely obvious. But now it's gotten to the point where if you gave me an AI paper and uh, a normal one that a student actually wrote, I probably won't be able to tell the difference. I'd probably choose the
yeah.
AI one as being the real one because probably the one that's better written.
Very one better written. Yep. Um, yeah, and I think that's I I'm of a mind, and I grew up this way, especially with like being a welder. There's easy ways to do things, and there's the fundamental way to do things. And I think we're getting away from the fundamental way to do things. Like in school, we did everything the hardest way to learn how to do it and to be able to know how to do it. In the field and in life, there are easier ways to get things done. When I did math, I didn't use a calculator. I did long division when I was in school, right? Like not that I would ever do that now. I mean, I could, but like now I use a calculator. It's like these things and these tools that we use, they're not bad. They're not something we should stay away from, but they they can take away from the fundamental learning of certain things.
Yeah.
I saw it in the Navy. I mean, I was a sonar tech, and they taught us how to listen. They taught us how to do acoustic analysis. They taught us how to look at things. Now they teach the kids like to let the computer do it. Oh, you may hear it wrong, so make sure the computer does it
Yeah.
and stuff. And I'm like, that works, but like you don't understand you don't understand what's happening. You don't know why. You know, um, because when we all sat down with a new system, we got it installed right, and me and like two other guys that were on the ship, uh, we played it like a video game. I'm like just smashing buttons, right, doing all this stuff, and people are looking at us like, "What are you guys like gods?" And I'm like, "I'm not. The computer just does everything for me. Like I don't need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's fun, you know. Like you can have like auto track stuff for you." I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like it's I think that's what we're losing out on. Like I said, I'm not gonna say kids today are less intelligent than you know, but it's how we learn what we learn and what we need to learn to function in society. It's all changing. It's all different.
So you're coming at it from the point of like we're losing critical thinking, basically.
Yeah, I would say so. There's less and less of a need for it. Well, in a lot of things, there's less and less of a need for it because we have these tools
I think,
that handle these things for us.
yeah, it's just it's something we're not going to stop really. It is
No.
so I think it's more of a thing of we need to adapt or we're going to be fucked over. You're not going to stop it, so fighting against it is useless. You just need to roll over and take it. Basically, that's how
Hmm.
everything is with like privacy now. For years, everyone fought all this shit about privacy, but now we just roll over and take it because we have no choice.
Yep. The world's changed.
You know, our information is out there, and we just have to be complacent with it because you know, all this shit is a necessity. You know,
Yep.
I have to
Yep.
have Gmail to communicate with employers and stuff like that. So it's like I can't avoid Google because I need to use it.
Well, and they promise not to use it, but even like at work, like uh, a lot of companies are getting more invasive into your privacy for
Hmm.
safety reasons, for cover your ass reasons, for so
And for selling your data reasons.
so many data reasons. Yeah, you're right.
But anyways, we've had a little diary of the mouth here. We've gone on for a while.
Yeah, yeah. This was less current events, more opinions. But I feel like we covered a lot. I feel like we talked about. I mean, these are things that we need to talk about, though. I
You,
think
you,
that
you know,
you
you know
know,
what's kind of funny
yeah.
though. This is by far our longest episode. We've gone on for over an hour and 45 minutes now.
Oh my God, we have.
Prior to that, I think our longest was like an hour and 20 minutes. And I think
Yeah.
this is the first episode where we have not covered video games. We covered
Oh
emulators.
yeah.
That's it. We haven't
We covered
talked.
emulators, but we covered Apple policies more than emulators.
Yeah, we have not touched on video games at all really this episode. I think that's the first time we've done that. But I will preface this episode with saying, or preface, I guess this is the epilogue now. Um, Epilogue part one. Uh, so I think we've started to find our footing here with what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been working hard the last week. I, th- we've had some problems on my end mostly. I've had some issues with like corrupted files and shit like that, and episodes lost, and ones that I was too busy to upload and shit like that. As things stand now, everything is where it needs to be. I think I have on our major platforms YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon. As it
Mm-hmm.
stands currently, I have every episode up and available except for episodes 5 and 8.
Which I
Uh,
think I sent you
yeah, so
today.
you got me the raw for that. I have my raws, and so I think I can basically recreate those. Um, so we've found our footing and everything's good now, and I should be on a more consistent schedule of actually getting these edited in a timely manner and uploading them. And aside from 5 and 8, which was 5 would have been an episode in I believe late October, and 8 was an episode we did in December. So once I get the raws to those edited and up, we'll have every episode up on every platform I post our videos on.
Nice.
And I have just started uploading our some clips that I've edited onto TikTok. So now we're also on TikTok. They're all under my account, just as the podcast is under my YouTube Senior Sloth. They're all on my TikTok, which is sloth underscore Ford. So that's where you can find clips if you don't want to watch a whole episode and just want to get some goofy moments with me and Benny.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, everything's where it needs to be right now, except for those couple of rogue episodes. And like I said, I've been working hard to get everything set up, and uh, hopefully by the end of this week, everything will be up and where it needs to be, and I'll continue uploading some of our old clips on TikTok, and of course continue to upload them from the new episodes and upload our new episodes in a more timely manner.
Hmm.
So that's where we stand now. So it's coming together. It only took us 11 episodes and half a
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
But
Getting there.
that's all I've got, Benny. Anything else from you?
No, that's all I got for now.
All right. We'll do a
I'm
much
sure I could talk
shorter
about more,
episode.
but
Yeah.
you know,
we've gone on for a while.
yeah,
Next time we'll just do a quick back to our old 45-minute episodes.
yeah.
All right. But that's it for me. That's the end. We're
So for
done.
me,
Say bye, Benny.
I'll see you guys next time.